Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this. Picking up where I left off, just like the animal with the prick, God has been steering you in the right direction. You felt, we all feel it. We know as women when a relationship is coming to an end. We can feel when a relationship's coming to an end. It starts off as a little feeling in the pit of your gut. And then it starts to get bigger and your heart starts to feel the pull of the string between you and that person. Soul tie. That's what it is. It's a spiritual soul tie and you feel it. So instead of letting it go, you want to operate in your own will, operating in a spirit of rebellion and this Jezebelic spirit, where you want to put your will, a governing, sovereign authority over another individual, in order to get them to maneuver and operate in that experience. But why would you ever want to force somebody to stay in a presence with you? Why would you ever want to force somebody to stand with you? Why would you ever want to force somebody? I've heard a story of a woman who literally did witchcraft to a man to such a degree that for 25 years she held this man outside of what he was supposed to walk into. Blessed be to God, God held that woman that he was supposed to be with in ordinance, because 25 years later he woke up because the Lord broke it off. And he said, I don't want to be here. I don't know who you are. And you're not my woman. And he still left. But why go through all that when you can just release the person and spend 10, 20, 25 years with the man that you're supposed to be with? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Be with the one that's meant to be with you. You are detouring, derailing, hindering, and obstructing somebody else's life because you want your will done over them. And I don't understand this part because of the fact that I don't understand that all this effort that you're taking to do this, to hold on to something that don't belong to you, if you took the exact same amount of effort and worked through the process that you're delaying for your wilderness, you could have been halfway to your destination to get into the man that you're supposed to be with by walking through godly principles. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But see, the fact of the matter is, God will make it so that there's such a pressing in your spirit that irregardless you feel in torment, but some of that torment is from God saying, look, this doesn't belong to you. So I'm going to make it stressful and more uncomfortable and more argumentative and more discomforting because you're going to let this go. You're going to let it go because you know and they know it's over. You know and they know it's over. Because at the end of the day, God's sovereign will is going to be the divine one. But some people like to let it get worse and worse and worse. We all do it. I remember when I was in my previous relationship, it got badder and badder and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I was like, but I'm going to still hold on. I'm going to still hold on. I remember. Don't judge me. Back 10 years ago when this man broke up with me and I knew it was over, I was still sitting up there like, we can still hang out, right? No, you can't still hang out. because your heart is too attached. You just want to hang there in hopes that they'll change their mind. But when God does a thing, if you don't let go, He gonna let you let it go. And this is what makes you lash out. Try to mess up this particular person's life because you're not willing to release and let it go because you feel that your life gonna get worse. And the fact of the matter is you have an understanding that in letting it go, that means that you have to relinquish control of this situation and actually submit this thing back unto the Lord. And you know, because of how much rebellion you have already done, that the justification that's coming and the judgment that's coming upon you, that wilderness that you gonna have to walk through because you kept ignoring the little fox when it was in the room. You waited till it became a big elephant and you kept doing what you wanted to do. Kept ignoring and kept doing witchcraft, kept ignoring and kept doing this, kept ignoring and kept doing that. Your wilderness would have been way lighter than what it's going to be. And you knew that. That's why you try to hold on so long. Because you realize if I let go, the place I'm going to have to go into that dark space, me dealing with me, that darkness and that judgment in that place. What was just going to be darkness is now about to be a fairy fire furnace. Just like the three sons of Sceva when thrown in the furnace. And God was in there with them. But that sucker was hot. And you hate it. So you turn your hatred and anger on another person, projecting that onto that man that he let go, but you chose not to. How many times do I have to say this? I've said this in multiple other words. Some people are sent into your life for a reason, a season, and for a lifetime. If you make the choice to hold on to somebody that is not supposed to be in your life for longer than a season, you're going to end up in a whole bunch of turmoil trying to keep holding on to it. You're doing all this kinds of stuff, but guess what? At the end of the day, it's going to release itself when the time comes. You try to make lust into love because, and I'm not going to blame you because of the fact that if you look up love, 9 times out of 10, if you Google it, sex comes up. I did that one time. All images came up as sexual intimacy. You saw your hearts and all this kind of stuff, but it was sexual intimacy. Most people do not know that love has nothing to do with sex. Sex is part of it. Sex is a cherry on top. But that's lust. Love is an emotional connection. Love is there when you ain't having sex. Love is there when you can't have sex because you're pregnant or other things like this. That same love, that agape love, that same care, you feel that irregardless to whether the sex is there or not. It's a covering like a blanket, and God has that for you. You were supposed to let this situation teach you a love lesson, and then you were supposed to move on. Because the thing that you were to move on to was going to be the permanent thing. But you tried to keep holding on to it because you didn't want to do the work. I always say this. The people that are willing to go through the process will get what the people that were not willing to will not receive. Let me say that again. Let me see if I can get that a little bit more clearer. What it is that another person is not willing to do, the person that is willing is going to receive a greater reward because they were willing to go through the process. But if you're not willing to walk through the process, the healing, the repentance, the renouncing, denouncing, coming out of alignment, coming out of agreement of those things, what God's going to do is he's going to let you hang around as long as it doesn't affect his time clock. But when his time clock runs out for allowing you to hang around in that situation, he's going to force release you. You know what the Lord showed me? He showed me what you would call it's a tool that is used when you have to break something, okay? This tool is what a lot of people will use in their emergency kits for their cars in the case they need to break glass. What it is a punch that it has. It's a handle with a bar or something and something that's similar to a needle at the end of it. Because that's what I'm seeing, or at least this is what the Lord showed me. And when you need to break glass, meaning you're in, for instance, a person was in a car and it ends up in water, and there's too much pressure externally on the glass to be able to break the glass internally. So they'll take this pressure pump and puncture the glass. But what happens is, in order for that to happen, there's a mechanism in the handle that has to punch through it, okay? And it has such a force to the spring inside of it that when it hits the window, meaning once it's placed in position and the lever is pressed, the force of the air that presses the spring outward breaks the glass. This is what he showed me. You and this person that does not belong to you, you are on this side, they are on this side. When God's Ruach breath, meaning the breath of God, comes into that situation and he uses a spring release to push the two of you apart, there will be a breaking due to the pressure. Are you hearing me? You may not want it, but the pressure is going to push the two of you apart. And I'm hearing the line from the verse in the song, Pressure, by Ari Lennox. I'm just hearing that part, pressure. The Woman Prophetic Encouragement did a video talking about the counterfeit and the God-ordained spouse are at war with one another. Yeah. And not only did she do a video, but about 2-3 months ago, Call Me Ruby did a video where she said that God was pushing the kingdom spouse away from the counterfeit while the ordained spouse waited in the wings. This is lined up. With that being said, the Lord also showed me this. I think I missed it or skipped it. He showed me a line from a song. I didn't hear this song, but one of the women that I listened to was listening to this song. And it was a befitting line for the situation. And the befitting line was this: that you were simply a prop to occupy this person's time until the appointed time of what it was that God needed to happen. period. That was not love, it was infatuation, and you were simply there until God decided that it was time for it to be released. A man never marries anything he plays with. I learned that a long time ago. Because when God breaks his pride, breaks his emotions, and deals with him in order for him to begin to take responsibility for himself, his life, and these things, and when he chooses to walk in that direction, because he's afraid he's going to miss it and end up stuck in something that he never was supposed to be stuck in. And it's something funny. I was listening to, it was a song that came on a TV show, a movie that my dad was watching. It was the introduction to the movie, and it says that for a man, and it's based off of a scripture, that for a man to marry someone that he's not called to be with is like him desiring to sit on the corner of a roof instead of going into the house with a crawling woman. Prophetic encouragement made the point of saying this, that if that man chooses to walk into a relationship or stay in a relationship to the level of marriage with this individual, that it literally will be like him signing himself up to a long-term prison sentence. A long-term prison sentence. Because that person will always desire to operate in her sovereign will over this individual, and thereby enslaving him for the rest of his life. Which it would be better to sit out on a roof than to live in a house with a quarrelsome woman. And that would be what you would be if you married this person. But I can't actually be angry at you, because what it is there's generational curses that were attached to his bloodline that wanted somebody like you to be with this particular person. Because as long as they were with you, those curses will continue to be maintained. Thank the Lord that he anointed people to pray for their spouses. So my biggest prayer for you, whoever you are, is this. That you will make the decision to give your life to God wholeheartedly and completely and fully. And I pray that your God-ordained spouse is praying for you. I always pray that. I pray that for my ex, that his wife will start praying for him. And I also pray that your husband's praying for you too. Whoever you are. This could be for a counterfeit. This could be for somebody that's operating in a counterfeit spirit and you the counterfeit to somebody else. This could be for them spying lurkers that like to watch my channel. And you may not ever subscribe, but you're watching. God's still in control. And at the end of the day, What God puts together, let no man put asunder. If the man's willing to do the work and willing to walk away from the things that are not of God, what God's will and divine plan for his life is, it's going to manifest because he's willing to do it. And my last warning to you is this. Anybody operating in this spirit that went through all of this, because I know your spirit's pricked right now, and you're probably mad as hell at me if you are actually a lurker. Understand this. When God decides to remove you, all I can pray is the mercy of God upon you, because the judgment of God, that when it comes, I pray you survive it. And that's not a threat in any way. It's in the book. It's in the Bible. Because anyone coming against the sovereign will of God, if Baal be God, serve him. What happened to all the prophets? They all died. And God's will was done irregardless. Jezebel was thrown off of a cliff due to her vanity. I've been seeing the numbers 1238 and 1239 and 2031. Both of these mean feminine overthrow. So irregardless to whether you want to walk out of this situation and you want your will to be done over this, it does not matter. Because either you're going to surrender, please surrender before you have no more time to do so. Come to your knees, come to repentance, renounce, denounce, come out of alignment, come out of agreement. Because when God says it's a wrap for you, that overthrow is going to be ugly. Jezebel got overthrown. The queen in Sleeping Beauty got overthrown. Let's see. The one in Snow White got overthrown. She fell right off the cliff. It always ends bad for them. So do you want it to end bad for you, or do you want the man that's going to pray for you that you're going to have to take and do a little bit more work to get to? But if you're willing to do it, God got him for you. But you got to come to God first. It doesn't have to end that bad for you. But you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to go through the process. You're going to have to deal with the pain. You're going to have to deal with those underlying issues, the torments, a whole lot of fasting and praying, a whole lot of deliverance. But you can do it. But you got to be willing to do it. And you got to turn from your wicked ways and turn back to God. And God will release you, relinquish you, clean you up, shape you up. For the potter will break the clay that had mar in it. But he was going to reform it again. Let him reform you, rejuvenate you, recharge you, replenish you, change you. So you can walk into that relationship. And I guarantee you, if you let him, when God shows you the man that he got for you, baby, when you in that relationship, the person that you've been fighting, crying, doing witchcraft, tormented over all this kind of stuff, who is going to have moved on and living his life, you're going to say, man, why did I hold on to him anyway? He wasn't what I needed, because you'll be seeing what you always needed. And you'll be like, yeah, it's a faith fight. Take it from me. It is a faith fight, but it's worth fighting for. So if you make the decision to turn your witchcraft into prayers to the Lord, and not Christian witchcraft, by manipulating and operating in your own sovereign will through prayer towards an individual, by PREYing on them. You're going to have to learn the ways of God. You will be able to be blessed eventually with the right man. And if you do the work, it may not be as long as you think. But you have to allow yourself to be broken before God so you can be healed. Healed to all that stuff that makes you feel like you got to do all this stuff in the first place. Am I done on my soapbox, God? Because I didn't even want to have this conversation. Are we done? I think we're done. So with that being said, I hope this conversation blessed you. I hope to whoever needed this heart to heart, woman to woman moment, that you were able to receive it and be blessed by it. Because your girl got something else to do. So I didn't really want to be sitting here doing this. So, much love, faith, peace, and blessings to you. And I hope this helped you. Until next time. Bye-bye.